So I developed and worked on how to navigate the job loss, and that's the next big thing. I guess like breaking news. I am putting out a journal. It's called The Good and Goodbye, that shows how to navigate the layoff process, like how to look at your severance package and make sure it makes sense. How to go through interviews, how to keep track of it, and then a bunch of free resources that I found along the way. Like there's a place on the interwebs, on Beyonce's interwebs, where you can get a professional headshot using AI, and it's not free, but it's less than the professional photographers I've paid for in the past.
Welcome everybody back to another exciting show of the About That What podcast. I have the awesome opportunity to bring on Jay Stevens. Is an award-winning leader in finance and the founder of Rich Like My Melanin, which is now a registered trademark. Just gotta put that out there. So Jay uses a comedic and relatable approach to transform complex financial concepts into easy and actionable plans with the focus on wealth builders of color. She empowers her clients to own their financial futures, and the result is an average of annual salary increase of 50% or an additional $2,400 in their annual budget. So in order to have that, this show is all about building strong financial habits. So I think this will be an episode for you. Matter of fact, I know this is an episode for you. So welcome to the stage, to the virtual stage. How you doing today, Jay?
Hey y'all. Thank you for having me here today, Anthony. I like air horns, so in my mind I was like,
air horns.
Air horns.
I got you on air horns.
It's like if I ever put out a mixtape, it's gonna be a lot of air horns and and then I'm gonna drop like a hot 16 or maybe a strong 8, and then that's it. That's the whole mixtape. Air horns, and a strong 8 or hot 16.
Oh, you gotta give us a little something. Give us a little something. What you got? I'll do it.
I was not ready. Okay, so look, collegiate Daisy on site. I can just be like, I spit and I rhyme. I rhyme and I spit. Hopefully you're old enough to catch that reference.
Yes.
And Dave Chappelle. But yeah, so I really thought I was something. I really thought I was like, I'm gonna be the next Missy Elliott. Shout out to finance saving me.
It's never too late.
Thank you for believing in me. Yeah. And my dreams that I have already put on the show.
Your dreams and aspirations. You're most welcome. So, we've been chatting on and off from time to time and stuff like that. So, what's been new in your life lately?
Ooh. How far should we go back?
We don't have to go that far back. Just latest.
It is not that long of a show. Okay, I will give it's almost a year back, but I'll give the shortened version of it. So I want to say, I know we were first connected at FinCon 2022, yep. And then that was September, October of last year. So pretty much a full year from when we're recording now. And in November, I got laid off, and I was living my best life before I got laid off. I'm still living my best life now, but it's a different kind of best life when you're working for a tech company. So I worked for Meta, better known as Facebook, or formerly known as Facebook. And I'm not going to lie, y'all, I was making good money. I was smooth carrying out, bringing home about $250,000 a year. They pay you very well in tech.
It sounds like they
did. A lot of benefits, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like they really did.
Look, listen. Look, I'm not complaining. I'm complaining about some of the things, but legal purposes, you can't say stuff when you're complaining. So, I was laid off. I was on sick leave, and not sick like, ooh, I got a cold, like emergency medical leave for an extended period of time. And I went on leave on that Monday, and then I got an email at 5:56 a.m. that Wednesday that said you no longer work here. And I said, well, how does this work? Medical leave just started. it's been an interesting year. So I said I would give the shortened version of what happened. So throughout that year, I have 2 properties. One that was being rented on DC, but my tenants had moved out in September. It took me until February of this year to get a new tenant in there. Then I have my place in Texas. I was trying to sell that. Still haven't been able to sell it. So again, I eventually said I'm going to rent it out. But I was paying 2 mortgages without a job. I moved myself back from, so I was relocated to Austin with Meta. I moved myself back from Austin to the DC area. I'm now a Marylander. And I love it because I'm with my family, my friends, I'm with my peoples now. Shout out to Anthony, the DC crew. And I froze my eggs. That was a whole process. That was a lot. I went to Bali. I did my whole eat, pray, love, find my center and all, whatever those things are, they say. But really, I just went for good food and beach vibes. And then I finally landed on my feet with the new job. And in the meantime, also grew my brand a lot more. So Rich Like My Melanin, you mentioned, I got the trademark. I expanded and it's been a lot, but I'm generally an optimistic, jovial person. But I will say there were times when it was hard to be that way, when you just feel like I keep trying. I applied to no less than 150 jobs. And I'm not talking about just anything. I took the time and did the due diligence to look at the right companies for me, to apply to jobs, to update my resume. I had multiple career coaches, one of which was really good. And still, it's like, I would say out of that, I got an interview less than 10% of the time. 2 or 3 times.
So out of 100, so you're saying out of 150, you probably only did 15 interviews?
15 legitimate interviews. There's always every now and then I'm saying, as in I'm the recruiter. We want to have a phone screening. But recruiters, they go harder than people on dating apps. Oof, child. The social etiquette is not there with recruiters. So even if it's not indicative of my skills, I eventually had to learn that. And shout out to my friends who encouraged me and reminded me of that, because I'm thinking, I've been doing this. We talked about you gave the intro, you talked about my professional background within Rich Like My Melanin. But before Rich Like My Melanin, I was in corporate America, and I've done a lot. I've worked for some major companies, and to just not get responses, it's wild. But thank God I had savings and I got God. So I kept it moving. And like I said, I'm happy to be back in a better place, enjoying life. I mean, you see the white walls behind me. Clearly I haven't fully got set up, but we can do a part 2. I don't know, in the next 6 months when I finally get moving into my house. And I'll give y'all what did they used to do? MTV Cribs. I'll give y'all MTV Cribs. And now you can see what it looks like when I moved in. There's not a bunch of boxes right outside the screen that I'm hiding from y'all.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the visuals. It's it feel like you're in a movie set sometimes when you're looking at the visuals, where it's all this stuff in the background, but you see this pristine, clean shot every time.
Yes. Okay, unrelated to anything. Speaking of backgrounds, what do you think of when you see a vlogger, anyone like that has a grass wall or neon lights?
When I see them, I actually think that is interesting, but I'm like, well, what's behind that grass? What's behind that visual? So I'm not sure what's going on there.
Okay. It was unrelated to anything. You can completely cut this if you need to later. But I have someone shared, they were like, whenever you see a restaurant with a grass wall, they're going to have hookah, wings, and stuff like that. And so I said, I wonder if there's a version of that for podcasters, because podcasters are having the plastic grass wall and the neon light that said I don't know, flex your finances or something like that. So yeah, I don't know if there was a demographic for that, a stereotype for that.
Not for well, I would say for podcasting. I would say if I see that, I'm thinking hey, it's going to be a fun episode. Their show isn't taken as serious as some of those with books behind them. But I'm trying
to do that because that's some good solid oak right there. That's some good solid wood. And you got the Wall Street Journal. I see product placement about that wallet.
Yeah.
You got a degree, let them know. You got a pop of color, whatever I'm thinking it's a lei that's hanging off the degree. You own that.
Yeah, my little pop. And then I got my little holiday stuff on the other side.
Oh, I missed that. Okay. For the holiday episodes, I turn this way.
Right.
And then the rest of the year I sit this.
For the rest of it, right. See, I got you.
Like you could just take that down. Like it's not mounted to the wall. You really can just pull that down.
I can pull it down.
You were like, no. All I'm gonna do is sit here like this. Because until you just move, I had not seen that thing. We've been talking for those of y'all who don't know, we've been talking for like 40 minutes before we press record. Yeah, that thing has been sitting there the whole time. I didn't know. You said, I'm not, it's too much effort to move it down. It's just going to sit here.
Yeah, it's good. And the thing about it, it's actually two of them. So it's great.
Because you got own stuff be true. You also have to the left, you have product placement. You got the mug and you got your, the brand, the logo on your polo.
Thank you.
Good for you. And look, this was my product placement today. One of my product lines is my piece is priceless. Mm-hmm. I didn't even pull out my rich, like my Melanin mug. I didn't put on the cap, anything. I said it is what it is. Y'all go to the website. It's there.
Go to the website.
I'm not pushing products like that. My whole team was like, you have products? I was like, yeah. What the fact that y'all didn't know that?
Yo, the same thing with me. It's like, they were like, you have shirts? And I was like,
right.
Yeah. I was like, they was like, what else you got? I was like, I got desk mats. I got bucket hats. I got, bags, whatever you need.
We have merch. And then I'm thinking, aren't you on the team? Like, haven't you gone to the website? What? Do we need a tutorial?
You know what? I was actually thinking about moving the merch to the main page and just kind of have it as a... Oh. It's like, it seemed like one pagers seem to get more traction because people don't want to click around on websites.
Yeah. But then it's like, when you have that one page that just scrolls forever, and I get to the bottom and I'm like, I read all of this and I still didn't find what I was looking for.
Yeah. And it shouldn't take that long. I don't know. We'll figure out something. Anyway, back to the show. So yeah. One of the things that you talked about, which is getting laid off, because, I talk about, the habit building of habit of savings. How important was having your savings before they fired you on your day off like they did Craig on Friday?
You my peoples. Because when I posted that I got laid off, I used the clip from Friday. How you get fired on your day off? I used that clip when I got laid off. So I was like, that's what I kept thinking. Like, how you get fired on your day off? Okay, so how important were savings? So they were the lifeline financially to keep me going, to keep me afloat. So before I was working at Meta, I was in consulting. So I worked at Deloitte. I was doing federal consulting, and they pay pretty well too. I mean, they don't pay tech, but they pay well. And my big goal there was to pay off debt because unfortunately a lot, life be life, and I had a lot of debt. And it wasn't one of those, I made bad decisions or, I was sending money frivolously. Just life happens. You get medical debt. Obviously I still got student loan debt. But I paid off the debt. And then when I came to Meta and I was working with my financial planner, and shout out to please understand, just like doctors have doctors, financial planners have financial planners. So although I'm not a financial planner yet, I was working with, at the time, a financial planner. She's fabulous, named Chloe Moore. And Chloe put me on to, we really need to build up your savings because I was always investing. I just liked investing. It was fun to me. Yeah. So even though I knew I needed savings, I was kind of like, I got something. So I'll work with it. But during the time that I was at Meta, I was able to save up about $50K, I believe, between different accounts. And this is not saving as far as like your 401k. Like in my mind, that's investing.
Yeah.
It was, I've opened a high yield savings account, and for me, I intentionally opened an account with a different bank so that when I open my mobile app for the primary checking account, I don't even see what's in my savings. So then in my mind, it doesn't make me think, I bet I can go, because I will book a trip and I will go to a nice restaurant. Southwest and Delta, particularly Delta, because I prefer Delta, they know to send me alerts. We got to sale. You want this?
Every time.
I'm like, I could leave the country. I'll do it. My passport stays ready. I got a suitcase in my bedroom right now that I haven't unpacked because I'm just like, I know I'm traveling again next week. I don't really need to fully unpack it. I just need to take out the dirty clothes and swap. So off tangent or so on a tangent. So the point is, I opened the savings account on a separate bank with a separate bank so that I would not be tempted to spend. excuse me. excuse me. And because of that, I was able to get about $50K built up. So when I got laid off, and then I will say they gave us a really nice severance package, a very generous that I can't complain. Actually, I can exclaim with joy. That was a nice severance package.
Okay.
It was so nice that most of us didn't qualify for unemployment until like 8 months, 10 months later.
Wow. Because
they were paying us so much that unemployment said, y'all good. Like, you can live on this for a while. And it wasn't just salary. It was salary. You kept your health benefits. They cover, and tech companies give extensive health benefits. So like mental health, you still can meet with therapy. You had your dental, you had your vision, obviously medical. It was so many benefits they gave us. And then they gave us a career coaching program. So that's one of the career coaches I had. Actually, 2 of them came from there. So it helped that I had my savings. I had the severance package. And I was growing and getting opportunities with my brand with Rich, like my Melanin. So it helped to the extent that I was paying 2 mortgages. And I was just trying to figure it out.
The job, right?
And let's be clear, it was 2 grown adult mortgages. These were not like, oh, you got a mortgage like, in 1995 and you only paying a little bit. No.
$2,000, yeah.
Yeah, this was not an okay boomer like mortgage. It was a grown millennial mortgage with interest and everything. I mean, all mortgages have interest, but yeah, it was. So I was happy to be able to do that, especially when I had to move myself back, because a cross-country move is expensive. Getting it's also just so much energy to coordinate the movers, having them come out, and then when they deliver, and I had to get storage, put all my stuff in, and driving across country. And I am not a road trip person. I said I like to drive. I ain't say I like to drive. I'm not a passenger princess either. Put me on a plane. Let me go somewhere. So the fact that I had to drive across country because I had to humble myself because I didn't want to pay to have my car shipped. All of that. Savings helped with all of that.
I probably would have just sold the car and
I thought about that, but then I said, am I in a position to buy a new car when I sell it? Okay. Because just things weren't selling like that. Like I know there's commercials out there. There's always a commercial that says the housing market is hot if you want to sell, or the job market is hot if you want to employ. Bump that. I ain't see that heat. I said, chill. Like, my house did not sell. I'm being very honest and authentic in saying I was humbled. I just knew. I said, got a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, nice, beautiful gated backyard. Like, this thing's about to move. It also kind of was my realtor too. He wasn't really on it, but I won't tag him in the comments. He knows who he is.
Yeah. Ain't gonna worry about that guy.
Yeah. Right? Because he was not about that wallet. Ooh, child.
So, you've been on several podcasts throughout the years, and, really pushing out your brand and awareness. Because we talked about savings and so forth, but what is your message to the people today to kind of help them get to that next level?
Yeah. Ooh, okay. The shortest version of this is to have a plan and then have options and backups. And I say that because no matter where you are in life, if you have some kind of plan, this could be the type A in me, but if you have some kind of plan, it helps you to organize your time, your resources, so that you're just not throwing stuff anywhere and saying like, okay, I'm going to we were talking about flipping real estate earlier. Like, I'm going to try to buy a house now, or I'm going to try to build my retirement. The reason I had savings is because we developed a plan. We looked at where I was overall and said, this is how we can get you to the point. Because my whole goal is I want to retire early. And I'm not one of those like aggressive fire people, because if I was, I wouldn't travel and I would eat generic food and stuff. Like, I'm not that. I'm not lean fire. Give me name brands.
Give me
not always, right. But like, I'm not sacrificing joy now to be able to retire and keep sacrificing joy retirement. I want to live a happy and like prosperous life throughout. So having a plan is what helps get me there, and being able to say, okay, when things fall apart, when you get laid off, what does that look like for you? Like how long can you go? And I really did lay out a budget to say, how long can I go before I have to start finding like some scrappy ways to hustle out here? And scrappy for me, I mean, obviously legal, but like, you know, going back to flipping cargos at Old Navy, because I used to be an Old Navy gal, and I used to be at Banana Republic. They weren't, when you go to Banana Republic, they're chinos, not khakis anymore, or cargos. But still, like I say, you know, how long can I go before I need to get a job in retail again or something like that? So having the plan helped me there. And then the next thing that I would say is like kind of the big message, or the part two, I guess, sub part A or whatever, of having a plan, is that the same thing applies to the job hunt. So what I learned in this layoff journey this past year, I always had job opportunities thrown at me. I have a security clearance. I have the resume, all the things. And this isn't like an humble brag, although if you insert an air horn now, I won't stop you.
That's what you thought.
I was like, but I will wait and see if the air horn.
Right, it's right.
So like I wasn't used to having to be in a position of rejection and struggle with like getting a job. It is, I mean, that thing hurts. And at some point you just get desensitized. You don't even open the email. Like I just knew the title.
I'm gonna say no. Yeah.
So I developed and worked on how to navigate the job loss, and that's the next big thing, I guess, like breaking news. I am putting out a journal. It's called The Good and Goodbye, that shows how to navigate the layoff process, like how to look at your severance package and make sure it makes sense, how to go through interviews, how to keep track of it, and then a bunch of free resources that I found along the way. Like there's a place on the interwebs, on Beyonce's interwebs, where you can get a professional headshot using AI, and it's not free, but it's less than the professional photographers I've paid for in the past. I mean, they're not going to do your hair. Shout out to my curls doing whatever they want today. They won't do your hair and makeup, but like they will give you a professional look, a clean look. So the journal has resources like that. And it's all part of having a plan. Like, yes, have a plan for finances, but have a plan for how you get back on your feet when you're laid off.
That is awesome, because a lot of people right now are going to be feeling the pinch, or have felt the pinch, and they just don't know where to go. And I have to say, like, even if you have a job in tech, everybody's saying like, oh yeah, with a tech job, you can get a job within the next 3 months. And I'm like, depending on the job, depending on what you're trying to do. In tech, it runs the gamut, because it's almost like saying you work at a hospital. Okay. The hospital has a person that actually turns on the lights and do all this extra stuff. Like everybody has a different niche inside the industry. So that's the reason why I was asking about the savings, because, you know, once you know when you're looking for another job, you need to know how much you need to save until that next job lands. And usually that 3 to 6 months, it sounds nice, but is it really enough for your job industry?
Yeah, that's part of what's in the journal as well. The difference between having, I say like the rich auntie budget, where the rich auntie can, well, honestly, I am the rich auntie, travel the world, eat good meals, stop by to see the nephews and niece, and like drop off gifts and then scatter about, you know, throughout the world again. So there's that budget, the flossing, I'm, you know, fabulous, doing whatever I want life. And then there is the shoestring budget, which is those people that are like the super lean, fire, early retirement kind of thing. They live by that shoestring budget. That's also sometimes what they call the college budget, or the ramen noodles budget, even though ramen noodles cost a lot more than they used to now too, for being honest.
I noticed that. I'm like, they like $2.50. I'm like, what?
Right, for high blood pressure on a cup, all the sodium in there.
They used to be like what, 10 cents, less than $1?
Okay, it was a struggle meal for a reason. You
right.
could be struggling to afford it. Inflation, it's real. We all knew this, but when you see it on the shelf, like it's really styrofoam in a microwave and water. But okay. Anyway, and I'm not saying that to say I'm above eating the ramens, but just like that's the kind of budget that you need to have. That's the kind of plan. That's the kind of savings you need to have. And you're right that historically, if you reach a certain level of education or experience, you only have to wait 3 to 6 months before you get a job, typically. But there's periods right now for example, where that just isn't the case anymore. So I got my job in June. I hadn't done the math on this before, so that was 8 months that I was laid off. I will say there was one job that came up before then, and I did decline it simply because they wanted me to stay in Austin, and I really did not want to be in Austin anymore. I just missed my family and friends so much. And I also missed really good fresh seafood because for whatever reason they made it to Austin. It was all over Houston, but it was Austin. They served imitation crab meat. Who does that to a girl who lived in DC, Maryland? But you send me that little rubbery lip. Right. Oh. And I said, how dare you send me spray painted red crab meat? So off topic. And clearly I'm good at getting off topic. The point is I didn't accept that job because I didn't want to stay in the land of imitation crab meat in Austin. So you have to be able to figure out like how long can you last? Do you have the budget? Do you have the savings? And even when you have a job, still having the savings to say, these are some of the goals I want. Like I want to be able to buy a house. I want to have a fabulous birthday party, wedding. I don't know. Some people, they go all out for their pets, whatever you want to do. I want to afford to send my children to college. What's your thing? Can you afford it? Are you in a position to do that? And do you have the savings for it?
Nice. Now, speaking of savings, I'm going to go back just a little bit. Where did you get Rich Like My Melanin from?
Ooh. I'm going to say God put that on my heart. And that might sound a little corny saying it like that, but that is legitimately how it happened. So I was first introduced to finance in college, and there's a columnist for the Washington Post named Michelle Singletary.
Yep.
And she has an article, a regular article in the Washington Post called The Color of Money. And I remember reading shortly after I graduated college, one of her articles, and it talked about how people of color are not educated in investing until it's too late. It's not, and it wasn't meant to be a blank statement like no Black person knows how to invest and no Latina knows this, what an apple's like. It wasn't one of those kind of things. It was, in general, these things aren't taught in school. And they're also just not something that's discussed at home for Black and brown people. So how can that change? In her article, that's one of the goals of The Color of Money, is to teach people. So I always wanted to do something that really helped people of color understand finance. And it's great if you're of European descent and you get some gems from this. That's great. Like, I'm not saying you can't, learn from this. But my focus is on teaching people of color, and especially women. Women learn so much, do so much. And the fact that we don't readily get this information presented to us, or it's being mansplained, it's just wild to me. So I know I can fix that problem, and I decided I would fix it. And I wanted to be able to center the title of my organization, the name, in a way that makes it clear, this is who I'm after. If anybody else grabs something, good for you. I'm glad you're here. Sit down, enjoy yourself. But we are centering Black women in this conversation because they deserve it. They need it. And in general, people that are melanated. I'm going to add a footnote here just to make sure. If you are colorist, don't come for me in the comments. I ain't got time for it. Thus far, I have not had to deal with it like that. But when they're like, well, what if because I did have one person who is of a fairer complexion. She's a Black woman, but she's a fair complexion. She said, well, does it not apply to me? Because my melanin's not as rich as yours. And I said, no, why you choose violence? Like, why did you go down that road? Like, no one was thinking that but you. So no, it's not meant to be a thing that says like, ooh, if you're fair skinned, you don't deserve to be as rich as darker skinned. Girl, stop. Like, boy, stop. Don't pick up that struggle. We are not splitting hairs like that. Yeah. It is just saying people of color deserve and should be able to access this information. And I'm going to put it out there so they can.
Awesome. And that leads to the third segment, which is the features. So what skills or habits do you feel that will take you to the next level?
Ooh, me specifically or anyone in general? Actually, it's the same answer either way. Discipline, self-discipline, consistency, and having a professionalism in the way you carry yourself. And when I say professionalism, go out of your way to try to do right by people. Try to be understanding, listen with the intent of understanding, communicate with the intent of understanding, learning, and being receptive to different perspectives, and showing up and being a good, decent human being, right? Like, recycle when you can, and, go to a march every now and then, fight for others, rally, stuff like that. Ruhaha. But also know your boundaries. And as the viral soundbite says, I'm gonna stick beside them. I know what I stand for, what I don't. And having that line in the sand, having those boundaries has helped me a lot more in life with knowing what's right for me and knowing how to move forward. So be self-disciplined. Say I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna record an episode today. Shout out to you for doing it. And then be consistent. Say I'm gonna record an episode today, but guess what? Next week I'm also gonna record another episode. I have a job today. I'm gonna go Monday, and guess what? I'm gonna go back the next week, and I'm at least try to smile once, and maybe even smile at a person, not just smile at my phone as I scroll through something. And then be a professional about it in the way that you show up. Like, I said, be courteous, but also like know your boundaries and be able to express that and stick to your guns without, can we say stick to your guns? Is that a cancel term? If so, don't, let's scratch it if no. So
we're gonna keep it going.
We cancel that term now. But stick to your guns as far as like, what you stand for. And then there are kind ways to say yes or no.
Awesome.
Also, one more footnote to that. Shout out to the organizations that are DMing me saying like, we want to collaborate with you. I'm sticking to my guns. The price is what it is.
Perfect.
And I don't sell and promote stuff just because you came into my DM and wanted to promote it. I am promoting things that I think are helpful and honest and ethical products or services for my followers. I owe that to them. So don't come over here with no mess. I know that's not you, Anthony. I'm just shocked. Like the people in the DM don't ask me to push nothing that I know good and well I wouldn't ask myself to use.
Exactly. Yeah, so far nobody has come to me about that yet.
Lies. I know you have to have people coming to you. Lies.
Not really. It's mostly me reaching out, honestly.
You being real humble, and that's cool. But like, okay. Well, we'll manifest it now for you.
Yes, let's manifest it.
When we have this part 2 where I have a background, you're also going to like have a running list on the screen of all the brands
that come through.
And we're going to put air horns over them. And I'm going to say,
We definitely got to have you up when you get your rap together, get you back in the studio. Right.
I was going to DC. I was like, young, it's going to be like, but no, yes. When I have that moment, when I'm flossing.
Okay. We got you. Is there anything that you want to leave the audience before we dive into the final 4 questions of the show?
I feel like you covered it. And I always feel like I have little tidbits to share. But I think this was a good conversation as it was.
Awesome. All right. Well, you ready for the final 4?
Hopefully.
All right. So question number 1. What does wealth mean to you?
Ooh, freedom to do and choose as you please. Freedom and flexibility.
Number 2. What was your worst money mistake?
Something that was so snappy. I will say zesty. Very, very controversial, maybe. What was my worst money mistake? I feel like depending on what day you ask me, there could be different responses. Can I give like the top 3? I won't even tell the story. I'll just say like the top 3. Okay. Not negotiating my salary.
Okay.
So I was ending up with salaries that didn't work for me. Not having boundaries. So saying yes to things that I should have said no to. So then I was taking on more and more work, more and more opportunities. And of course, like the debt that went with it. And then staying in a relationship that I didn't need to be in anymore because I was in that relationship and I was not focusing on other ways that I could be building myself up. I wasn't even in love. I was just there. Like, I guess this is what we do. I don't like this is what a relationship is, which I've recognized that like that third one can kind of fall under that second one. Like I should have said no to that relationship sooner, but whatever.
Yeah, I had a whole episode about mine. So I know what you mean. We there.
Yeah.
Number 3, what is your favorite financial or non-financial book?
Ooh, I'll do both. My favorite financial book is The Psychology of Money by Jeff Knopfsinger.
That book.
I really should have had it. Like you can barely see my this way. You can really see my little bookcase over there. It's on the bookcase. But it's a book that talks about the way people think about investing. And and there's like all kinds of books on the psychology of money, the psychology of savings, all of this, like psychology of debt. But I really like the psychology of investing because it also just showed human behavior and how even outside of investing, how people feel about loss, how people feel about success and victory, group mentality, group thinking mentality, things like that. And then my favorite non-financial books got to be the Bible. I feel like everything's in there. It's like a reality show in there. There's life advice in there, tantalizing stories, motivation, all that.
Awesome. Yeah. For those of you who are looking to get the book, The Psychology of Money, depending on your library, if you have a library card, make sure you download the app Libby, and you can actually be able to download it for free and listen to it. Because I was able to get it for audiobook, but I was on hold for like at least 2 months.
You know what we're going to do?
What's that?
Moment. Bright idea. I like people to learn and, giveaways and stuff. If there's a moment where a light bulb could go pating above my head, this would be it. So the little pating.
Well, all I got to do that's about it.
Gesture with it. Thank you for doing that. So I will sponsor, a giveaway of one copy of Jeff Knopfsinger's The Psychology of Investing. Yes, y'all can still download it and get it from Libby for free. But Anthony, you can decide what the giveaway parameters are if you want people to, like your comment or whatever people do now to promote stuff. But I will give it away. Just tell me where I need to, whether I need to get somebody an Amazon gift card to go buy it or whether I need to ship it to someone, although I personally don't want to have people's mailing address because that's not a responsibility I want to carry. But however y'all want to get this book, we'll sponsor somebody to go ahead and read it.
All right, what we'll do is I usually give away during my live shows. So one of the things what we can do is after this episode is released, we set up a live show to give away the book. Sounds good?
I like it. All right. You can do that.
Cool.
Y'all gonna see me again.
Hey, leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments. I do read them even if you leave them comments on Spotify because you can leave them per episode now. So
that's true. I have been listening on Spotify. You're right.
Yeah. So, final fourth question. What is your favorite dish to make?
I know you gave me these questions in advance that I could be prepared, and yet here I am wasting time thinking of the answer. I like to cook, and so I make a seared salmon. I feel like chef's kiss. It turns out right pretty consistently, like as far as the texture and flavor and everything. But I also like making fried chicken. Just your wing. And I feel like there's like a seared salmon with fresh vegetables versus some fried chicken wings with some collard greens because my greens do hit. That would be, I feel like, the top ones. And this isn't including bacon. This is just like cooking.
Okay.
Because bacon's a different thing altogether.
No comment on that one, but yeah, you're right.
No, yeah, because like cooking, I season to my heart's content. I'm like, I feel like that's enough seasoning, and like but baking that's a science. You can't just pour as much flour and eggs as you want. You actually got to follow a recipe.
Yeah, it's more of a science.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, the very last question of this show is: where could people find out more about you?
Yes. So my website, RLMM Financial, FINANTIAL.com, which stands for Rich Like My Melanin Financial. But I tend to be most active on Instagram, TikTok, all of those girls. I am, my page is Rich Like My Melanin. And yeah, I do some on YouTube. Every now and then I put myself out there. I zhuzh it up and I get on camera and things like that. But mainly I would say the website or Instagram. I know it's pronounced Instagram, y'all. I just say Instagram.
We got you on InstaWebs.
Yes, the interwebs.
So, Jay, it's been a pleasure to have you on this show, and I greatly appreciate all the information that you provided. So, those of you who are listening, who got some value out of this particular episode and thought that somebody who's going through a struggle time right now, who just recently lost their job, and just kind of need a little pick-me-up and some resources, definitely share this episode out. so we can get in touch with Jay and all the other content on this particular platform so that they can have the life that they want to have. And with that being said, remember, this is about building habits. So be safe out there. I'm out. Peace.